So what happens when some game-changing new technology comes along? How does a company plan for its most important asset, its people? For a long time, there was a standard playbook for this. But today, in an age of nonstop innovation, that old playbook is being completely torn up and rewritten. We're going to dive into this transformation of HR, from just, counting heads to actually building the future.
And this is really the core question for today, isn't it? When new tech shows up, do you see it as a threat to be managed, a simple game of jobs lost versus jobs gained? Or do you see it as a chance to build something new, something powerful and unique that no one else can copy? The way a company answers that question, well, it reveals pretty much everything about its real strategy.
You see, here's the fundamental problem. The systems that companies have been using for decades to predict their workforce needs, they're hitting a wall, a big one. They were built for a totally different time, and they're seriously struggling to keep up with the speed and the sheer nature of the tech shifts we're seeing today.
Now in France, this old system has a name, GPEC. It's an acronym that stands for the Forward-Looking Management of Jobs and Skills. Think of it as the company's old-school crystal ball for trying to guess who they're going to need on the payroll down the road. So today, we're going to break this whole concept down and see how it's being totally rebuilt for the modern age.
Okay, let's rewind a bit. The first version of this system was, well, it was incredibly simple. Its entire logic was built around just one thing: numbers. How many people do we need? It was a pure, unadulterated numbers game.
The whole thinking was almost mechanical. It was like, okay, the business needs X number of people. Right now we have Y. So let's just tweak the hiring, the departures, and the internal moves to make Y equal X. It's basically a system designed to adjust the workforce like a thermostat. Just keeping the numbers perfectly balanced.
And this flowchart here shows the kind of tool they used. It's a model that's designed to figure out the net effect of new technology on jobs. So it looks at things like productivity, prices, demand, and after all that, it just spits out a number. Boom, this many jobs created, or this many jobs lost.
And they use this for absolutely massive technological changes. For example, when they applied this model to the rise of nuclear power in France, it calculated that the industry created, get this, a little over 100,000 jobs in total. That's a big, impressive number, right?
But, and this is a huge but, here's the catch. Out of all those jobs, only 20,000 of them were direct jobs inside the energy companies themselves. The rest were all external. And this just perfectly shows the model's biggest flaw for any single company. It's a tool for economists, not for strategists. It tells you absolutely nothing about the kind of changes happening inside your own organization. So at the end of the day, under this old playbook, HR is just reactive. The big strategy decisions get made in some other room by other people. And HR's job? It's just to come in later and adjust the headcounts to fit that plan. People are treated like a dial you can turn, not the engine that makes the whole thing go.
But then, in the world of business strategy, everything changed. A new way of thinking came along that completely flipped this logic on its head. It's called the resource-based view.
For the longest time, the old way to win in business was pretty simple. Find a good market and then fight for your piece of the pie. But the resource-based view said, nope, you're looking in the wrong place. It argued that a real, lasting competitive advantage doesn't come from the outside, it comes from what you build on the inside. It comes from creating skills and ways of working together that are unique, valuable, and flat-out impossible for your competition to copy.
And this quote from our source material just nails it. The real magic, the very heart of what makes a company competitive, is the process of turning individual talents into a collective superpower. It's about how the team plays together, not just the stats of the individual players.
And the fallout from this strategic shift is it's profound. Because if your unique advantage comes from what your team can do, then your people are no longer just a line item on a budget. They are the very engine of your strategy. Human resources basically just got a massive promotion.
But this creates a huge collision. On one hand, you have this new, powerful way of thinking about strategy that's all about these amazing internal collective skills, and on the other hand, you have this old HR system that was designed to do something completely different. It's like trying to run a brand new supercomputer with software from the 1980s. The old tools just aren't fit for the new purpose.
I mean, the clash couldn't be clearer. The old HR logic is all about quantity, counting individual jobs and just adjusting the workforce to fit a strategy. The new strategic logic, it's all about quality, focusing on what the team can do together, and building a strategy on the unique strengths you already have. They are fundamentally opposing ideas.
Let's just put it bluntly, it does not work. You simply cannot execute a modern resource-based strategy if your entire system for managing people is still stuck in the past, just counting heads and filling empty slots. It's an impossible task.
So what do? How in the world do you bridge this massive gap? How do you build an HR system that can actually power this new way of thinking? Well, the author of our source material actually proposes a new integrated model to do exactly that.
And here is that blueprint. Now I know, it might look a little complex at first, but the core idea is actually pretty simple. It's all about building a bridge that can finally connect the world of people and the world of strategy in a really meaningful way. It's designed to bring those two opposing forces together so they can finally work in harmony.
Okay, so here's how it works. First, it looks at skills on two levels, what individuals can do and what the organization as a whole can do collectively. Second, and this is huge, it feeds that analysis directly into how the company plans its strategy. And finally, it connects all of this to the real-world tools of HR, things like training, career paths, and who you hire. And crucially, it integrates with how the company manages knowledge to make sure that collective wisdom keeps growing.
So when you zoom out, the big takeaway is this incredible evolution of what HR is supposed to be. It's a shift away from HR as a reactive adjuster, someone who just shuffles the numbers around, to HR as a proactive architect, an architect who is actually helping design the company's entire strategy based on a deep understanding of its most valuable asset, its people.
And this brings us right back to that first question, but let's make it personal. Think about where you work. Is your HR function basically a scorekeeper, just there to manage the head count? Or are they a key player on the strategic team, helping to architect the future of the company from the inside out? Honestly, the answer to that tells you everything about whether a company is truly ready for the tech age.